Ooh, hello again, fever readers. If you're following along with Fever, we are at chapter 5, still one chapter behind our Sea Folks journey. Yesterday in chapter 4, Mattie took Polly's place in the coffee house and overheard some interesting information about what exactly might be going on. It seems there is a sickness about. Today is our first entry from a new day, August 24th, 1793. And the quote for this day: a low voice and soft address are the common indications of a well-bred woman. This is from Hannah More, The Young Lady Abroad, or Affectionate Advice on the Social and Moral Habits of Females, 1777. A week later, 64 people had died, though no one seemed quite sure what killed them. Rumors of a fever near the docks snaked through the city. People avoided the shops by the river and came up to our end of High Street, where the air smelled cleaner. They made our strong box grow delightfully heavy. There was little time to mourn for Polly. I slaved from dawn until the stars shone, house chores in the morning, serving coffee in the afternoon, and cleaning after supper. Sleep became more precious to me than food. One night I fell asleep in the necessary and woke with a fervent prayer of thanks that I had not fallen in. My first chance for escape came 8 days after Polly died, as mother and grandfather discussed their plans for the day. We need extra eggs, hard cheese, pippin apples, savory, and lemons. I'll have to go to the market again, sighed mother. I concentrated on a hoe cake spread thick with honey. You're too tired, Lucille. Send the child to market, grandfather suggested. I quickly swallowed the hoe cake. No, Matilda must stay home. I shall go. Mother fanned herself with her hand. It is uncommonly warm, isn't it? I jumped to my feet. Grandfather's right. You need the rest. Please let me go. Mother tapped her finger on the table. A good sign. She was thinking. Grandfather tried again. You fussed for days because you don't like her serving customers. Let her run the market errands. It will clear her head. Young people need the outside air. The finger stopped. A bad sign. I was thinking of sending her to the country, to the Luddingtons at Ginwood. You encourage her to go deeper into town. Mother frowned. The Luddingtons? The Luddingtons had a farm with disgusting pigs and dogs that bit. Any place would be better than the Luddingtons. Grandfather fed a cracker to King George. Must you be so gloomy, woman? You see darkness in every corner. Sending her away, your own child? You shock me. The Luddingtons aren't even family. I can't see the wisdom in that. We'll have to consider this at some length, he said, drawing out his pipe. The considering could take hours. The sun was growing hotter, and the larder stood empty. If I don't go soon, everything will be sold or spoiled, I reminded them. People don't stop eating eggs whenever there's a fever, do they? I had to get her attention away from that farm. The child's right, Lucille. She'll be fine. We must accommodate our lives to the fever for a few weeks, but we shan't overthrow our daily routines. It's important that we not lose our heads. But Polly, Mother started. Whatever took that little imp away, it wasn't a fever, I promise you that, Grandfather said. It could have been a sudden pleurisy or a weak heart. You worry too much, always have. The market is the safest place in town, next to our own castle here. Now let the child get some air. Mother pursed her lips a moment, then nodded. I'll write a list for you. I know what we need, I quickly replied. Don't shop at any stalls below 3rd Street. Stay away from 2nd Street Market completely, and no rambles today. You go to the market and then you come home, and you do not let me hear of you loitering shamelessly in front of the Peel house." I turned so she would not see me blush. Why did it matter if I walked past the Peels? "I think we should buy extra bread at the Simmons Bakery. We're sure to run out again." "Good idea, girl," said Grandfather. "See there, Lucille, the child minds the shop as well as you. You mustn't be so hard on her. Come here, Mattie. Give this old soldier a kiss." I pecked his cheek, and he slipped a piece of hard candy into my hand. I dashed out the door before Mother could change her mind. As I crossed 4th Street, the noise from the market splashed over me like a wave. "Here's your lily white hot corn. Get your nice hot corn. Fresh fish fit for the pan. Raspberries, blackberries. Pepper pot, all hot. Make strong, make live long. Come buy me pepper pot." The market stalls stretched for 3 blocks in the center of the street. West Indian women stood by their pepper pot kettles stirring fragrant stews, while the hot corn girls walked up and down the street. The distant call of the charcoal man's horn sounded at the far end of the market. Chickens clucked and geese honked. Customers argued about the price of pears, and children ran everywhere. Eggs, pippins, savory. What else did she want? I thought. Cabbage? Crab apples? I rolled the candy in my mouth. It had a piece of tobacco stuck to it from Grandfather's pocket. Ugh. I spit it out and walked up to the egg sellers. "Hello, Miss Matilda Cook." "Good morning, Mrs. Epler." Mr. and Mrs. Epler were German farmers who brought their eggs and chickens to market 3 times a week. Mrs. Epler fluttered in her stall, her tiny black eyes looking this way and that, her chins flapping as she spoke. Mr. Epler was egg-shaped, narrow at the top and bottom, bulging in the middle. He never spoke. His wife leaned forward. "I was just telling Epler here that your people would be already gone. All the farmers talk of this fever." She waved her arms, scaring the chickens in their wooden pens at her feet. "So much fever talk." "Don't you believe it?" I asked. "Them that are sick should the church visit. City folk, sinners at the docks. They don't visit the church, and God gives them the fever. It is a sign from God. The Bible says the soul that sinneth, it shall die." Mr. Epler nodded his head solemnly. "Did you go to church last week, Miss Matilda Cook?" Mrs. Epler leaned her beak forward. "Yes, ma'am. Mother never lets me stay home." Mrs. Epler's face broke into a wide grin. "She's a good woman, your mother. You go to church and you have no worries. How many eggs you want, Lichman?" With the eggs carefully tucked in my basket, I moved on to Mr. Owen's stall. He wrung his hands and apologized for the sorry-looking cabbages. "We're lucky to get those, what with this drought and all," he said. He was so discouraged about the cabbages, it was easy to talk his price down. He may have lowered it even further, but I felt sorry for him. He had more children on his farm than he could count on 2 hands. The extra money was just what I needed to buy a bag of hard candy, without tobacco specks. The next stall had fresh lemons. I scratched the peel and held one up to my nose. Paris would smell like a lemon peel, far away and wonderful. I bought a dozen and kept one in my hand as I shopped. There was no savory to be found, and the apples were small and knobbly. Mrs. Hotchkiss charged an outrageous price for a moldy cheese, but there were no other cheese sellers. I had to use all the hard candy money. I did not bid her a good day. As I rounded the butcher's stall at the far end of the market, someone grabbed my basket and spun me around. I clenched my fist and whirled to face my assailant. Nathaniel Benson. My stomach flipped over like an egg in a skillet. I brushed my hands on my apron. Little Mattie has come to market. Are you sure you haven't lost your way? He teased. Nathaniel Benson. He looked much more a man and less a boy than he had a few months earlier. He had sprouted up over my head and grown broad in the chest. Stop, I cautioned myself. You shouldn't look at him as if he were a racehorse for sale. But his hair was a beautiful chestnut color. I often walked past the Peels house, but rarely had the chance to speak with him. His work as a painter's assistant required long hours. He was known to stroll past the coffee house from time to time, but Mother kept me busy when he approached. He wasn't suitable, she said, had no future, was a scamp, possibly even a scoundrel. Last New Year's Day, Nathaniel had rubbed snow in my face and chased me across the ice. I pushed him into a snowbank, and Mother sent me home in disgrace. The following week, he took me to watch Blanchard's balloon fly away. He thought it would be marvelous to visit Paris. Nathaniel Benson. I cleared my throat. Good afternoon, Nathaniel. Kindly return my basket. Is that all you have to say? You disappoint me. I thought you would send me sailing into the horse trough at least. I guess you respect my new position as a man of the world. You are not a man of the world. You clean paintbrushes, though for the life of me, I don't know why Mr. Peel bothers with you. And you will end up in that trough if you don't give back my basket. I paused. Your shoe buckle is missing. What? I grabbed the basket as he looked down to inspect the shoe. Very funny, he said. Why are you here? I asked. Shouldn't you be working? He snatched an apple from my basket and took a bite. The impudence! Master Peel gave me the day off. He has a committee meeting with the mayor and a visit with a banker. I ruin so much when he's present, he's afraid to let me work unsupervised. The day is mine, so I'm going fishing. Want to come? Fishing. I hadn't been fishing in months, and I'd known Nathaniel since I was a baby, so I could roll my sleeves up above my elbows in his presence, as long as Mother didn't see me do it. He raised an eyebrow, and his eyes sparkled. Trout? He smiled, and I got a chill. When had he started smiling at me like that? Maybe I wouldn't roll up my sleeves. One had to be careful with elbows and boys. I would fish like a lady, with good posture and a demure manner. I could set the eggs in the stream so they wouldn't spoil. Bong, bong, bong. The bell at Christchurch tolled heavily. Why is that ringing? Asked Nathaniel. It's not the hour. Bong, bong, bong. The little boy, sitting on the cobblestones, covered his ears. The chattering marketplace voices hushed as the ringing continued. Every face turned toward the bell, swaying in its tower. Another person dead, said the butcher. He brought his cleaver down, slicing the mutton leg on his table into 2 pieces. The bell rings once for each year the person lived, he explained. 19, 20, 21, counted Nathaniel. The bell stopped. 21 years old. Do you reckon it was a fever victim? Don't you start carrying on about this fever, I warned. When Mother isn't hollering at me about something I've done wrong, she's moaning about that fever. I lowered my voice. Did you hear about Polly Logan? He nodded. Hard to believe, isn't it? I recall you pummeled me once when I stole Polly's doll. I remembered too. She loved that doll. I turned away so he couldn't see my tears. Nathaniel put his hand on my shoulder. I'm sorry. I didn't mean to make you cry. His hand felt kind and warm. I miss her. I didn't even get to say goodbye. I wiped my eyes on my sleeve and cleared my throat again. Enough about that. We won't talk about it anymore. Suit yourself. Nathaniel stuck his hands in his pockets and stared at the cobblestones. I balanced the basket on my hip. Conversation started up around us as the last echo of the bell died. You won't catch anything, I said. Fish don't bite this time of day. Nathaniel grunted. He knew I was right. Well, he started. I must go, I interrupted. There is so much to do at the coffee house. Good luck with your paints. I curtsied awkwardly, stepping on my shin, nearly falling on my face. Nathaniel tipped his hat to me like a gentleman. I tried to walk away with my head held high. I could still feel the weight of his hand on my shoulder. Good luck with your paints? Did I really say that? What a ninny. Ugh. Chapter 6. Coming up later, as soon as I answer those emails you hear dinging coming in, and then we will be caught up in Fever 1793. Quite a bit of action in this chapter, don't you think? Where do you think it's headed? Until next time, I love you, miss you. Mwah.